Hey, what's going on everyone? This is JoeYoursTruly back with another video. Today we're going to be doing the tier list for Deadlock. And this is something I've been meaning to make for quite a while. But honestly, I didn't want to make one right away because I'm still kind of relatively new to Deadlock. I mean, right now I'm in Oracle 2. So I've been playing the game for quite a bit, 175 games. I have like 63-ish% win rate. So I definitely am kind of on that grind, kind of know what I'm doing. But obviously, I'm not like the expert compared to other people who's in 26 or have been playing the game for years. However, I do think I can kind of give a pretty fresh take on the tier list for Deadlock. Just purely from coming from his perspective, someone who transitioned to Deadlock from other MOBAs like Predecessor. And of course, like in 26 players, they definitely know their stuff, but they're like the top 1% of players in the entire game. So when they make a tier list based on their 26 kind of lobbies, well, it's not exactly one-to-one true reflection on the more annoying, the most OP characters in the lower brackets like Oracle, Archon, even Emissary, and down below. So I'll definitely be doing my very best right here to give you guys my fair, try to get a little bit unbiased take on who are like the most annoying, most OP characters and Deadlock. And of course, at the end of the day, this is just my opinion, right? This is April Fool's. This is kind of like my idea for April Fool's video because maybe my tier list is gonna be pretty bad. But if I get called out for that, then I have the excuse that this is the April Fool's video. Don't take it too seriously, right? So let's kind of jump straight into it. So essentially, I just kind of do the standard SABC kind of brackets. I have the one trick tier list. It's kind of like for heroes that I consider to be a little bit too complex or too like crazy over the place, depending on like if someone that is playing that picks that one trick hero, then it's kind of like defeating. But if someone that only plays that one specific character, they may actually be the most annoying kind of hero to play in that lobby. So I kind of put in that one trick necessarily doesn't mean there's worse than B and C. It can be anywhere from S to C, depending on how much that person no likes that one character. So, and the other thing is, I'm kind of mostly making this tier list based on who I think is the most annoying character to play against. So maybe not necessarily the most broken, overpowered character kind of ceiling, but more like the characters that kind of makes your life miserable. The kind of character that takes the most of your resources to try to take down, or makes you play differently just because they exist. Like that's the kind of heroes I'm playing, putting in the S tier, and then it's kind of like top to bottom in that respective order. But yeah, we're gonna be doing Abrams here. I do think he is kind of like a solid B. He's an easy tank to play for sure. Definitely a new kind of character for newer players to play. And how he elos, he can be pretty solid. I think for him specifically, I think he's pretty easy to read. He's pretty easy to shut down if he misplays. But I also think it's just hard for him to be super annoying. He doesn't like 1v6 necessarily. There are other tank heroes that can 1v6, can be really annoying. And Abrams doesn't really do that. I try different builds to try and make it work, and it kind of feels like if my team is struggling, then I also can't play the game as much on Abrams. So I think he's solid B, nothing too crazy right there. A is for Apollo, and he's gonna be going to A. I don't think he's like an S character in terms of like being super annoying. His early game is definitely something really hard to lane against, but he definitely falls off as the game goes on. Because the thing that makes Apollo super annoying is that he has really high base damage in the early game, and that's kind of like the part of the game where you're trying to scale, trying to buy your items, so he can kind of just like run you down a little bit if he lands everything. But then as the game progresses and you get more items unlocked, especially the green items, he doesn't do that whole 100-0 thing anymore. So his damage definitely does not hold up in the late game, I found. What I found to be super annoying about this specific hero though is the fact that he can be really hard to kill just because he has a lot like the healing in this kit. He has the counter that makes him just go one direction really fast. His ultimate get out of jail free card as well. Like he's someone that can be really hard to lock down. There are ways to counter him by like getting silence and stuff. But he's definitely someone that can take up a lot of your team's attention and it still lives, right? So I think he's really annoying, like to deal with at times in the mid to late game. But he doesn't like exactly 1v6 just because his damage kind of falls off as people like buy defensive items and they can kind of eat up his abilities in team fights. Bebop, I do think he is kind of like a C character in my opinion. He's a little bit clunky. Like he has this whole combo where he hooks someone, bomb, knock them away, or do other stuff, and it gets kind of awkward to do all of that with how like the 1, 2, 3 like ability inputs, how it's kind of laid on the keyboard. I know people can rebind abilities and stuff, but the whole flow of him is a little bit awkward if you actually try to play around like all of his abilities, in my opinion. So a lot of times, like the easiest way to play him is just play one bombs, build maximum DPS, and let your bombs do the heavy lifting in terms of like killing people late game. So he has some nice scaling from that. His laser can be pretty strong too. I just think that there are other spirit characters that can do what he does, but more safer, more consistently. And also, I think he's also, how do I say it? Yeah, I don't like playing him. Maybe you can argue it's B. Maybe there's a little bit of my bias going in, but I personally don't like playing him. And when I usually play against him, he's never really a huge threat. I mean, if you're just like taking his laser shots for free, then that's kind of like on you, is my thing. So that's what I'm kind of putting in for now. Billy, I do think he's kind of like a solid B. Um, he's someone that, depending on who he's against, can like counter him. What I mean by that is like he's a character that like the melee a lot, and so his performance can vary depending on if he's going against a team that's parrying a lot. But even then, all you need to do is a light melee attack, and it can be hard to like read at times. His damage is pretty good. He's just become someone that's pretty hard to kill because most of his builds involves him building max green and then like a good balance of like gun and then some spirit. So he's kind of like a decent frontliner, kind of like an Abrams. I just don't think he kind of 1v6 as hard as other like tanks in the game. That's kind of like why I'm putting him into the B category. Calico, I heard her as B as well. There was a point where she was super annoying in the meta, where she only needs like 2 abilities and she kind of just one-shots you, and she can sort of like do a whole bunch of damage with her like combo. I just don't think she's like that super scary, just purely the fact that her bombers are like kind of useless. I feel like it's kind of sad. Like I feel like her kit is not really fine-tuned at the moment, where a lot of her like damage really comes from like 2 abilities, one of them including her ultimate, and the rest of the kit is just solid there. So when she doesn't have ultimate, she doesn't really get to play the game. She doesn't be like super annoying in team fights. So I think, in my opinion, I think there are like other characters that kind of does what she does, but more annoying, more like consistently, in my opinion. Celeste, my experience playing her and going against her, she's pretty dang annoying to play against. Her basic attack, her like gun or whatever, is pretty clunky. That's like the main thing that I think holds her back, honestly. If her gun was much better, a lot easier to land and stuff, I think this character would be super S tier. But outside of that, I do think like when she uses the ultimate, it can definitely be one of the moments where like, okay, we all gotta spread out. Otherwise, we just eat a bunch of damage for free. But her ultimate damage has been kind of nerfed, so a lot of her damage really comes from her whole other abilities. So if you get into a long team fight and you can't shut down Celeste super fast, she can get a lot of damage on you. And I mean, she's kind of hard to catch like Apollo, just because she's more floaty. She has a lot of stamina bars. She has a shield. But I do think she's not like S tier compared to the other characters that I'm considering S tier. I don't think she's like that kind of level annoying, but definitely someone that can be at times just harass you a lot. Dolman, I'm putting him into the one straight category. I was so debating about like putting him outside of that because they changed his like bells to be like hurt you like pretty hard, so you don't have to like one trick him to be doing that damage and doing some basic combos. But I really think that to get the most mileage out of Dolman, you have to really like play this character a lot, know like the best door placements, and get really used to like doing all these different combos on him. That it's gonna take a lot of games to get used to, in my opinion. So that's kind of like why I'm putting the one shot category. He definitely can be SOA really annoying, but someone that doesn't play Domain Lock, who used to be a BSC character, in my opinion. Drifter, I don't think he's a solid A. He's kind of like a Feast of Famine character. So it's a Drifter that gets like 5 kills early game, can be kind of like an STU kind of feeling character. A Drifter that's 0-5 can be like more like BSC. He doesn't really do much. The main reason why I'm putting him A still is due to the fact that his ultimate is just so annoying to deal with, just because he kind of blinds your team, and then also the move speed he gets from is pretty crazy. So even Drifter that's like 0-5, split pushing, you try to go after him, he pops ult and just runs away. You can't chase him because you're blind, and he has like a bajillion like movement speed. So in my opinion, he's like can be really annoying. He just takes a lot of like your team to try and like actually punish him even when he's behind. But definitely he's someone that doesn't he's not a huge threat when he's behind, but he's definitely someone that can just be a constant nuisance to your team. Dynamo, I'm gonna be putting him in the B2. He's like a solid all-around support. In my opinion, I think there are other supports that kind of just outshine him, at least in the low elos. I know Dynamo can be his ultimate can be game winning in team fights, and it's definitely like if you get to them closer to like 26 lobbies, why he can definitely like flip team fights like crazy. But I mean, outside that, it's I think other supports just kind of does a little bit more than he does, or they are more annoying than him in other ways. He's a solid all around support, but I don't think I ever have too many problems dealing with him in my game so far. Graves, she is so dang annoying right now. We are kind of like in the Graves meta, where she kind of does a lot of stupid annoying stuff. And I mean, she's so always been really annoying, but more lately, she's been like a real hassle to deal with her ghouls. Just like her ghouls are just so cancer to deal with. I'm gonna be honest. It's not like this is kind of like a new player don't know how to count Graves. It's even like in higher lobbies where you play against the Graves that constant split push or play around her ghouls, and you're just not in for a good time. Because the problem I have with her ghouls is like her ultimate spawns them pretty fast, and they're pretty aggressive at tracking you down. So even if you try to go after her gravestone, you are definitely going to be getting hit by 1 or 2 of her ghouls pretty easily, and they do a lot of damage if she's being spirit. And not even that, sometimes Graves can put her wolves like ultimate in hard to reach places, or she just sits on top of it, so when you're trying to go heavy melee it, all she needs to do is just parry you and just make it really hard for you to secure it, and that whole time you're flying over her trying to take down the ultimate, more ghouls are spawning, and they're gonna just go after you. She still has the root and stuff. She's just beating you down with a lock-on base attack, by the way. So a lot of stuff makes her super annoying to deal with. She's super easy to play. Her kit kind of plays herself. Her gun build is good. Her spear build is really good, really annoying. She's definitely the character I always ban in Street Brawl, because trying to lane against a Graves that just perma-trucks into your Walker and Guardian with her ultimate every round is not fun, I would say. So I think she's definitely the pinnacle of one of the most annoying characters that I feel like even a 26 players have to deal with. Great talent. I really don't see this guy a whole lot, I'm gonna be honest. Even when I do see him, he doesn't feel like a huge threat. I know he can output some good damage, but it doesn't feel like he's like a super huge threat. Like he's kind of there passively, almost in a way. Well, yeah, like yeah, if you don't focus him, he can pop up and do a lot of damage, but at the same time, I feel like it doesn't do a whole lot compared to the other gun characters, especially. So I'm not really impressed with this character. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's not anything too crazy in my opinion. And speaking of gun characters, I think Hayes is the S pick. I think she's just a really easy, really solid all-around gun character. Usually gun characters takes time to scale, but because of how a 3 passive works, her gun damage can be really good early game, and like every other gun character in the game, she does scale super well. So she's a gun character that doesn't really feel like she has any like periods in the game where she feels weak or she needs more time to scale, she kind of does whatever she wants. With her like sleep dagger, she goes invis, and now she has all the movement speed, so she can literally just like be invisible and just run straight into other people. Mark 10, ultimate is also like pretty dang strong too. You can counter with metal skin, of course, but metal skin is sort of like a more of a niche green item, right? So when you're forced to buy a more niche green item to counter her, you still need to build other green items like the Spirit Resilience if you actually want to be harder to kill against the majority of the cast. Like I feel like given that fact and just how Paige just kind of plays out, she's definitely a super annoying character to play against, and she feels really good overall. Holiday, I think she's also like a one-trick character. Um, like her, like her ability is not super anything crazy. Like she has a jump pad, she has a barrel, passive, and then a skill shot ultimate. It's just more like how the gameplay loop of her works. More specifically, how you need to know different spots of the map, the best optimal places to put down your like jump pads, and that creates like that momentum you want to do for your barrels. Like maybe she's not that super hard to play, but she's definitely not a pick up and play character. Like I'm terrified of playing this character myself. I don't want anything to do with her. So I do know that she can be really annoying though, especially if she lasting you into Walker, right? But I feel like to get the most mileage out of her, you definitely need to play a lot of hours on her. You need to know the good spots on the map and know your movement text to be able to take full advantage of her kit. In funness, he's like an A character, solid gun character, pretty easy to play. What makes him pretty annoying, in my opinion, is due to the fact that he kind of plays around his burn, where essentially he applies burn, and he does it pretty easily where he does his like sprint ability that makes like a field of like burning ground behind him. And he usually builds a lot of life steal. So when he's like burning an entire team and he has a lot of life steal, he can actually be super hard to kill just from the pure amount of healing you are doing to yourself. And as the game progresses, right, his burning can seriously hurt you a lot. So I do think that he can be pretty annoying to deal with. For the most part, I don't think he's quite like the Haze tier of annoying. Right, he takes a little bit of time to scale. Right, but I do think that he's definitely one of the better gun characters and one of the ones that are a little bit hard to shut down due to just how his burn interacts with lifesteal and makes him like really deceptively hard to kill. Ivy, I'm gonna put in an A tier. Honestly, I was kind of sort of debating on A or B for her, but I'm putting an A most of the fact that she can be pretty annoying at times to play against. She's not like crazy like early game, but she kind of scales super well into late game. And when you're in these like Oracle like kind of lobbies and below, especially the games are just gonna be longer. People are gonna have a hard time finishing out games. And when you have longer games, people like Ivy can be really annoying because her abilities at max rank can be really strong in team fights. Like having permanent tether on her 2, or the fact that her 1 can like immobilize you if you're in there for too long. She has a statue, and of course her ultimate where she just flies away. Be really hard to like catch. So I think she's pretty dang annoying. But I don't think in the damage department she's crazy. It's more like the utility and what she does can be really hard to deal with in the mid to late game team fights. Kelvin. This may be a little bit hard take. I'm putting him C. I really don't see Kelvin a whole lot in my games. I know he can be pretty dang crazy in like a turn of 6, right? But again, this tier list is based on more like the Oracle lobbies and below. Maybe like Phantom, right? But I don't really see Kelvin being like a huge problem. If anything, he sometimes show his team by putting down the bad ice dome and then get his team killed, right? But I definitely know in turn 6 lobbies, his ice dome can really like make it easy to win mid boss fights, for example, or just gain like easy kills or kills when he like locks one person in. But I mean, outside that, I don't see him being a huge problem to deal with. Like usually, I see Daimo as more of a bigger threat than him from my experience playing some of these games down. Lady, guys, probably a biased take. I think she's S tier. I think she's like the pinnacle of a tank that can kind of 1v6, because the thing with her, of course, is the fact that I think her kit's pretty dang easy to play. She has a lock on 2, her 3 is like a huge cone, hard to like miss people with it. Same to her 1. Her 1 is like her bread and butter. That what makes her the most annoying tank to play against. Well, she's like a close range tank, but her 1 has insane range, so you can just constantly harass people at range with a very large AoE kind of nuke bomb. And if you're trying to all collapse on her, well, she can like, that makes it her job even easier. Playing her entire kit, just throwing her abilities at her feet. And of course, if you see a lower lady guys and you try to rush in and kill her, she just swap HP with you. She's back to full HP. She plays down to 1 and she immediately kills the person that she swapped HP with. Like, she is someone that can be super annoying to deal with in 1v1s. I think she's like probably the scariest tank to try 1v1 just due to how her 1 works. Because a lot of times if you want to finish off people, you kind of have to get close to them, because if you're trying to kill them at long range, unless you're like certain characters, it's hard to finish people off at longer ranges, so you have to get close to them. And that's exactly playing into Lady Gaza's most optimal range for her HP swap, also her rest of her abilities. And I think that, again, in my opinion, I think she's kind of like the best tank to 1v6 with. Maybe that's just my biased tank, but like whenever I play like Abrams, right, it's really hard for me to like kill everyone by myself. But with late guys, I can stall for so long. I can just keep doing AoE bombs that just keep hitting everyone on the enemy team. Like, I think the only other tank that kind of comes close to her into like 1v6 in terms of like damage potential is Victor, and more. We're gonna go more on him later. But I seriously think that late guys is like the most annoying kind of tank to deal with in 1v1s and team fights. Just throughout all stages of the game, she's super annoying. Really potent, powerful tank at the moment. The Lash. I do think the Lash is a solid B. Sorry, Lash, you're not STU, unlike you think you are. Lash is only a problem like with his ultimate, because it feels like when he doesn't have ultimate, he doesn't do anything crazy, or rather like his damage is not anything super crazy even when you do a full spirit build, I found. So the only big thing you have to worry about is when he ults you and your team. And even if he gets a really nasty ultimate, he doesn't exactly solo kill. He doesn't like do a full combo just kill you instantly. He doesn't have that damage to do so. So he needs his team to kind of follow up on him at times. So I kind of don't like that. He's kind of like the same problem with Abrams. Well, Abrams can be a threat, but he doesn't exactly have the damage to kind of 1v6, in my opinion. So I think right now he's just like a solid B. Doesn't do anything like super crazy by himself. McGinnis is so dang annoying. If you ever play against her, like her turns are just super easy to play against. Like throughout all stages of the game, you're laying against her and you're just in for a rough time. Just her turns just constantly like aimbotting you, doing damage, and her ultimate too does a, I almost cussed right there, but it does a lot of damage is what I'm trying to get at. And so I just think McGinnis like that really annoying character that it's really hard to shut it down due to the fact that she kind of just put down an entire kit and just plays it itself. Like, you try to focus her, but if you don't focus her turns just kind of kills you for free. And her wall can be really annoying to deal with. Her ultimate, again, does a lot of damage. She is just so dang annoying to play against. I just think this character is like super toxic at the moment. Mina, I think she's a B character. She's like one of the better assassins. Better than the Calico, in my opinion. The only reason why I'm placing her in the same tier is because she has some of the lowest HP pool in the game. So she could be someone that could be really easy to punish if they misplay. And if we talk about 26 players that doesn't misplay much, she's definitely someone that can be like up here. But if we're talking about like the local lobbies I'm in or anything below that, I think Mina's, it's kind of like a flip coin if she's like super impressive or just kind of there, just gets bodied instantly whenever you see her. Her 2 can make it really annoying to chase her and stuff, but once she doesn't have 2, she can be really easy to just kill just because of how low her HP pool is. Mirage, so annoying. So they have nerfed him, but he's still really hard to kill mid to late game. Due to the fact of just how much healing his 1 gives, plus the other lifesteal items you build on him. And of course his damage is kind of nutty too. So I do think he's a little bit slow starting off at first, But he definitely, his early game is not as bad as compared to some of the other gun killers in the game. It can be pretty annoying depending on the matchup. So once you get outside the early game, you get mid to late game, he becomes just so annoying to deal with. He can kind of just like eat up damage for free. He's a gun killer, but he kind of eats up damage for free just because of how much wall healing he does. And then because you take too long to kill him, he stacks up his like 3 and just like kind of nukes you with the max stacks. I think Marsh is like a super annoying, super kind of cancerous player that hero to play against still at the moment. Mo and Krill, I think it's. I mean, I think everyone at this point knows how unfun it is to play against a Mo Krill that just presses 4 on you, and there's nothing you can do, and just see yourself get bodied by the rest of his team. His his ultimate is definitely the ultimate of all time that everyone hates. His early game's also really annoying too because he kind of heals a lot with his one. It's really easy to pull off. His gun is solid. When he kind of goes underground, he just takes less damage too. Like he's a tank that can be really hard to kill. He kind of stalls for a long time, and as long as he just plays around his team, is also looks at someone awesome. That person's life is just super miserable. Paige, I do think she. I think she's like a C. I think I had her B initially, but after I think about it more, I'm kind of putting her in the C too. She's really like she's like probably the closest to the most pure like support kind of character because most support characters are like hybrids. Like Bebop for example, like he kind of a lot of his builds can do a lot of damage with his one, so he's kind of like a kind of semi burst DPS. With some support capabilities. Paige is that character that it kind of feels more like heavily like pure support. So it can be kind of hard to kind of carry games if you're playing Paige. And if you're trying to climb, like trying to play only Paige can be pretty rough because you're so reliant on your team or someone on your team to do really good and you do your best to support that character. But even then, I feel like other supports offer a little bit more than she does, or the fact that they could be more annoying than her, in my opinion. I never really see Paige become like a super huge threat in my games I play. Maybe that changes when you climb higher into 106, but at least in around the local lobbies, I don't really see Paige doing a whole lot. Paradox, she's a solid B. She has a fun little build where she kind of double time bomb, swap you in, and can kind of just one shot you. I think outside of that though, she doesn't do a crazy amount of stuff. Like I think the thing that makes it super annoying again is the bomb. That if you're full commit to the bomb, it's kind of like a late guy's bomb. It can be really annoying to deal with. But I do think that unlike late guys, I think Paradox can be easily more punishable, or the fact that to get do the most optimal combos, you have to do all these different actives and do all your ability rotations. Like she's so straightforward, but at the same time, sometimes her ability rotations can be a little bit hard, can be a little bit clunky at times. So I don't think she's anything like super crazy. Maybe I want, maybe she's more like an A kind of character, but she's definitely like a solid character. Pocket, I do think he's a pretty annoying character purely from his ultimate. His ultimate is just ever since they changed it to where his max ultimate applies 100% healing reduction. That is kind of like super ace to deal with. Like especially if you play like a tank like Lady Guys and you get ulted by Pocket, well you don't get to play the game anymore, right? So I do think that Pocket from his ultimate alone can be really annoying to deal with. Just having a huge AoE does a lot of damage, doesn't kill you, but makes the team fight kind of unplayable when you're taking constant high tick damage and you just cannot heal back up. Whim, maybe a little bit biased. I think he's S tier kick. Just because if you know Whim, he likes stealing all your resources. He likes running at your sandbox 8 minutes, and his helper just kind of does it for free. I think that's the most annoying aspect of him is the fact that he forces the enemy team to be taking the cinders as soon as spawn up, because if they don't, then you can assume that Whim is always taking them with the cinder box. But outside of that, his laning phase is actually some of the best from my experience of a support kind of character because his gun is really good. It's pretty dang strong early without any gun investment. But also his pillow, it does a lot of damage early game. So when you're taking all these resources and you're having the highest soul count in the game and building all in your one, he can kind of almost like solo a lot of people in the game. Just with the huge resource gap and his early game damage really coming in play with his gun and pillow. And the last few times I have played with him, the enemy team just got so mad at me and just all shouting, like saying that why am I playing this hero? I'm a garbage player. Like Wham is that kind of character that literally just instant tilts the enemy team whenever they play against him. So I think from that alone, I think Wham is like that S2 kind of character of annoyingness. Steven, I think he's like an A2 character. He's definitely someone that you could argue is S2 in terms of like Oko down below. People don't know how to play around 7 ultimate, and then they just kind of can't play the game when he's ulting. But he kind of has that problem of he needs time to scale. He needs to the game needs to go on longer for him to like do much outside ultimate, because most of the time he's not that big of a threat when he's not ulting. Because like all these other characters, like even with like without the ults, they kind of do really annoying stuff. I feel like he's kind of like the pocket where the only reason why they're like the A-tier characters for like the Oko lobbies and below is because of how annoying the ultimate can to deal with. But outside of that, it's anything super crazy, in my opinion. Shiv, I think he's a T character. I know competitive players like playing him a lot. He's kind of like a character that works best with a team where his team does do the ability rotation to get people low, and then Shiv can go and execute, or vice versa, where Shiv kind of does this whole ability kit, get people low, and his team can kind of clean up. So he's definitely like a kind of team tag kind of character, and that's why he's like really good in competitive play from what I saw. Well, people can work around Shiv, but in your random lobbies and like Oracle lobbies below, I never really see Shiv as a big problem. He doesn't really do anything super crazy from my experience playing against him. Silver, A character. I think her wolf form is super annoying, for sure. Whenever I see Silver in the enemy team and I'm not in lane against her, I kind of look at 10 minutes and she's 5-0. It's not a fun time when Silver's ahead, because people kind of disrespect her wolf form. Her wolf form just takes a lot of manpower to kind of shut down, I would say. The only reason why I'm not saying S is from the fact that she sorta is like a piece of payment character like Drifter, except with Drifter, he has the ultimate where it's always good, it's always like super annoying to deal with. Silver on the other hand, when she's behind, she can still do stuff in the wolf form, but if she's like behind, then it doesn't take too much to like kill her, is what I'm trying to get at. So I think she's like that kind of she's kind of like that character that can be really annoying, but then can also be like, oh, she's not fed, we can kind of work around that. Sinclair, definitely a one-trick character. You gotta know how all the ultimates work in the game, along with kind of like a little bit convoluted kit, almost in a way. Playing mind games with the swaps and stuff. I think he's just a character that definitely need to play a lot of Deadlock just in general to be able to make the most use out of his copy ability. Venerator, solid B. I don't think it's anything super crazy. He's very immobile, so it'd be really easy to punish. The thing that makes him scary is the knockback, where you get stunned, and then he just heavy melees you for free, or the mind traps, or even his ultimate could be pretty dang good at finishing people off. But outside of that, I don't think it's anything too crazy as a gun character. Victor, I do think he's the A2 character. He's like a really easy tank character to play, but he's not exactly a super noob friendly character because you need to know how to farm and stuff. But I mean, with the games, with how they kind of go on longer, anyways, in like the lower, like kind of elo lobbies, Victor will eventually just become a problem through just raw scaling and buying items. Like, he's just someone that can kind of sprint at your team, and even if he's not super ahead, he kind of just solves super long in team fights, and just a nuisance to deal with, from my experience. Vindicta, she's a C tier character. She can be really annoying when she's flying, but outside that, I don't think I haven't found her to be like impossible to play against. She's just so interesting. Like maybe you can argue she's B character, right? Because all you need is knockdown to knock her down, but then she buys parry. So this one is kind of like coin flippy of how good the Vindicta is and how good your team is and knowing how to counter her. But I think the other gun characters are just easier to work with, are more consistent. So even though Vindicta might be more annoying, I think she's also just easier to kind of deal with, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe my take is a little bit off on her. I just haven't seen her to be that big of a problem to deal with. You know what? I'll put on B. I think flying foam can be really annoying for people to deal with if they don't know how to counter it or people don't buy eyes for it. So I think for that fight alone, just trying to stay consistent, I think she's better off the B character. Viscus, A2 character. He is pretty dang annoying. He can stall. He has like the cube. He has the ball. He has the puddle punches, which you can parry. But I'm really bad at parrying, so I always have a hard time dealing with him. But his damage is not anything like super crazy in my opinion. So because of that, like I don't like compared to like these kind of characters, their damage can be pretty like high. Right? So I think Viscus doesn't really have that oomph to his like damage kind of side of things. It's more like his utility survivability is pretty dang annoying. Viper, I'm sorry to say, but she's kind of like a C2. She's not a bad gun character. I just don't see her a whole lot. Or rather, there's a lot of competition for gun characters, and I kind of feel like she doesn't do anything super crazy outside of her ultimate, just kind of like turning people to statues. But you don't exactly damage them, so it's not like Daimon where he's ults and you can shoot people for free. Viper ults, and then you have to wait for the effect to expire before you can actually damage them. Warden, I think he's a C2 character. Again, like there's a lot of competition for gun characters. He's kind of like an interesting character. He's like a gun tank kind of character. He's kind of like anti-gun character, but he's pretty slow. He takes a while to get going. But also, I think he's pretty easy to avoid in team fights. Like unlike the Victor that kind of just sprints at you, Warden's not exactly the fastest character. So I don't think he does anything super crazy. I never have problems dealing with him. Oh my god, I'm spacing out name. Waste. Solid B. You can maybe argue she's an A. The only reason why I'm not putting her there is due to the fact that outside of her like her teleport, she can be pretty easy to lock down. Like because with the funness, like he can heal a lot. He can easily kind of avoid you with his like super saiyan sprint speed mode. But like Waste is more like she teleports away and then catch back up to her. She's probably dead. I mean, her infinite ammo with 3 can be really strong. Her cards early game can be really annoying. Her ultimate can be pretty nice, but that's like a single target kind of ability, kind of like a selfish duelist kind of thing. Whereas a lot of these other characters' ultimates are super annoying to deal with in like team fights specifically, where they affect multiple people. And Waste's ultimate only affects like one person, so she's a solid gun character, but I don't think she does anything super crazy in terms of like being super annoying. Last but not least, Yamato. I think she's like C character. I haven't seen her done anything super crazy. She's a little bit of an unbalanced kid, kind of like Calico. Well, Calico's always her damage comes from a 2 and ultimate, and then Yamato's is like all of damage comes from a 1. But she doesn't exactly like one shot. Maybe she's ahead. She can kind of like double one you, and then you're just kind of dead. But I do think she's not like tiers of like Victor annoying or Lady Gosh annoying in terms of like being like that kind of tank ability caster. I'm not like super impressed with her. She's fun to play, but I don't think I would run across Yamato being like, oh my god, this game is unplayable because she's in this game. But yeah, that is my tier list for Deadlock at this very moment. When we get like another big patch and when more characters change and we have a huge shift in the meta, I'll probably consider doing one again. I just want to do this one and see what people think. I definitely kind of ramble on this one. We're almost at 40 minutes, so I'll definitely do a better job at being more condensed, trimming down to like closer to 25 minutes, 30 minutes, hopefully. But I want to kind of give my honest opinion and explanation of every like character placement from a perspective of someone that is a little bit new to the game, but have put down close to almost 200 games, or go to, right? Because again, like getting tier lists from a 26 players is cool. They definitely are experts in their own right. However, when they're like been a 26 for a while, they have the lens of like the top 1% kind of player that doesn't necessarily correlate to the other 99% of people, or more like the other 70% of people in the game that's playing through the game, right? So I want to make a tier list that's more applicable to more people, and maybe and just make a little bit more fun video, see, and have you guys see my opinion on the more annoying characters and the more kind of meh kind of characters. And if my tier list is actually really bad, my excuses. Happy April Fool's Day. This is just a joke, right? So that's gonna be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you're not away, consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, so you're up to date on what's going on with yours truly. Comment down below on what you agree, disagree with, and yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your day here. Peace.